Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here with my next Boruto Anime review. This one's going to be for episode 236, which is called Cut and Run, I believe. Um, just another one of these episodes sort of in the middle of this arc where in the grand scheme of like major plot events or stuff like that, like not a lot really happens. The main thing that I suppose gets accomplished in this episode is that the sort of Sarda and Denki team do save all the people on the island and get them onto a ship to safety. That's probably the main thing that this episode like does, that actually like accomplishes something that was previously set up. Now they could still be attacked at some point, because like Denki and Sarda and everyone is going to get, I suppose, involved in the action as we, I suppose, build up towards the fights towards the end of this the arc. But that was the main thing that we did here. The other thing is that we get sort of the Boruto, Buntan, and Kawaki team infiltrating the, I suppose it's revealed to now be a mobile fortress. And on that side of things, literally that's about all we do. We just get on board, we have a quick scene of them just addressing the sort of new villain character we've introduced here, Tenma, who is the leader of the Fanato clan's son, who is sort of cruel but also exceptionally loyal. He's really loyal to his father, and then we see he's cruel in that he's willing to kill his men if they sort of step out of line, that sort of thing. So another villain set up for a fight. He should, I suppose, have at least some of the powers of his father, and is going to make for a good sort of secondary villain. The preview for the next episode seemed to suggest that Kagura is going to fight him at some point. Now, I don't know if that's going to be like the end game fight, or just they'll clash and we'll continue to build to the kind of final pairings of like who's actually going to fight who. But on that side of things, the main stuff that we accomplished is that we finally got past the whole Kawaki is seasick thing, which I think had gone on a bit too long without accomplishing all that much. It was funny initially because it was a sort of tonal contrast with the character of he's so tough, confident, and capable most of the time. For him to be taken out by seasickness was kind of funny, but then they kept doing it, and it was just the same joke over and over again. Oh, he gets sick when they're on the sea. Finally, Buntan reveals that, if you live here, you have a way to combat, seasickness or motion sickness. And so she just does this, it's like a combination, like, medical ninjutsu, but also like a sort of like strike type thing. So she kind of like punches him with a medical ninjutsu hand, and this sort of, fixes him in some way. So they didn't explain it too much, but like it makes sense that like, oh, of course the people would have a way to deal with this. Otherwise, their lives would be so difficult, having to be at sea while, constantly fighting this sickness. So yeah, they have a solution to that. Kawaki says to Boruto that he sort of is beginning to, I suppose, understand her more, and the whole idea of, kill them before they kill you. And I suppose when you're in that sort of, darker aspect of society like those characters have been, that is the way you have to go, and Boruto maybe hasn't faced that as much, and so that makes sense that Kawaki is the one who sort of gets that mentality, because I suppose as part of Kara, that's kind of how it was, kill or be killed type thing. So that was decent. We continue, I suppose, to build to the idea of like she's helping, but she does have a bit of an attitude, but I think that's just her character rather than her being a villain. So I'm still waiting to see the point where they sort of reveal why these three, Buntan and then the other two that are with Kagura in this episode, why they've made the decision to sort of take this new path. And obviously last episode they revealed they didn't leave with their leader when he escaped. So will he be reintroduced in the arc, or are they just going to use his escape as a way to sort of explain their difference in opinion now? Because otherwise she's helping them, and she's here, she's going to get involved in the action, and they just have to deal with the fact that, I suppose, because she was previously kind of a villain involved in this stuff, she's just got a darker, tougher approach, and they have to deal with that, and that's fine. The action stuff that we got here was, I think, relatively solid, even if it was very brief moments that we got to see. The way that they actually infiltrated the mobile fortress, I thought, was actually a quite dynamic, just kind of little moment of the Boruto Kawaki sort of, throw me style technique of Kawaki throws Boruto with his big arm, so he throws him quite far. Still not enough distance, so Boruto turns around, uses his wind-style Gale Palm to block Kawaki's sort of laser blast, and the sort of explosion, which Boruto is protected from by the wind, that propels Boruto even further. He lands very quickly gets out the kunai on a rope, sends it back to the boat. Just really quick, brief way to show them infiltrating, and it was quite dynamic. I liked it. The main action on the sort of Denki side of the episode, apart from just the characters are capable of defeating the random Fanato members, was the sort of leader of this very small group seemingly had the advantage as everyone was about to escape and was threatening to kill two of them unless everyone surrendered. And we get Sarada and Mitsuki surrendering, but then we get the reversal that, Sarada actually used Genjutsu with her Sharingan and reversed the situation and got them out of it. That was really cool. It actually got me. I was like, how are they going to get out of this sort of surrender situation? Thought they might just do the quick, like, we're surrendering, they lower their guard, they strike them back, but instead, no, Sarada was in control the whole time. And that's good. We've had progress with her Sharingan. It makes sense that she could use it against someone who is not super powerful and completely reverse the situation. Other than that, it was just kind of a big sort of fighting melee as they use sort of water style jutsu to get on board the ship as it's about to escape. We see Denki struggling to get, I suppose, the power of the ship to just start the engines. So he has to use his own, lightning style jutsu to just, turbo boost the power to start the engines, and then they get going. So that was a nice thing of, like, Denki's sort of technological approach didn't work here, so he uses the ninja aspects of his abilities, and that got it going. So that was nice to see sort of Captain Denki get a little moment like that. Otherwise, like, that was more or less that side of the episode. Kagura and then the other two ninja swordsmen basically stay behind on the little boat that they have to sort of just, like, I suppose, guard from approach by sea. And then the sort of ending of the episode, not much of a cliffhanger, is just like one little boat with what seems just like a random Fanato guy arriving. I suppose it's meant to sort of signal that, like, the reinforcements are coming or something like that. I wasn't sure necessarily what to make of the very final sequence, and that, like, if it was like the leader or if it was the Tenma guy, I'd be like, okay, I get what they're going for. I guess they're just signaling that we had a little bit of action with the other two groups. Now this group is going to get a bit of action in the next episode. That's about really all there was to say there. Probably the final thing about the episode to talk about is the one thing that we do sort of address in terms of what they discovered infiltrating the mobile fortress, which is that they come across this thing that they just refer to as a giant ninja tool. And they talk about it vaguely as just, this is really powerful. Like, this could target locations really far away. And they didn't necessarily just make it clear what it was. They didn't show it particularly well either. They just showed, like, the bottom of it. And it's a cylindrical thing that obviously is made of metal. It's technological in some way because it's the scientific ninja tool. And I was kind of like, is this like a giant missile that they can fire from the mobile fortress? Because they're talking about, like, it can target stuff far away. But I don't think they said enough about it where you really got too much of a sense for what it is, other than just the obvious connection of, like, giant cylindrical thing pointing upwards on a military vessel, I guess. They talk about targeting missile, something like that. We'll see exactly what they do. That would be kind of a cool threat, because there's some brief explanation of like the Fanato clan stole like technological stuff from the hidden mist, and that's how they have all this kind of information, because previously they didn't have the technology, now they do. That's sort of interesting. I wonder will they explain it more. But it means that the fortress, which the preview for next episode seems to be setting up, is mobile. That's going to be the supposed reveal for the next time out. Is heading for the island, and I guess they're maybe going to target it or something like that. Because there's still the background thing of like everyone seems to want the gold that's on this island. So are they going to try and like blow up the mountain with the missile to just get all the gold straight away? If that's any even logical, I'm not sure. Because it would seem like the more obvious thing, if they hate the mist, would just be to target the sort of main town of the mist with that missile, which they're kind of presenting the idea of like, you will die if you get hit by this thing. That's the other thing Boruto said about it, which again gets across it is a weapon, so we'll see what they do there. But yeah, that was it. I just thought it was a solid middle episode of this arc. I think a lot is going to depend on if all of this setup actually leads to some really, really good fights. Because I think that's the main thing we're waiting for at this point. I don't think there's too much of a sort of fascination with the plot necessarily. Even the motivations of the Fanato clan, I think, is not too much. Because they are, for the most part, still just presented as bandits and pirates. And they haven't, at least in a few episodes, delved too much into the sort of their philosophy about the sea. Will we get back into the idea that they want to... Because there is that thing from earlier on in the arc where they said that the Mist has introduced this new technology out at sea that's meant to sort of calm the rough oceans. So are they going to use the missile thing that they have to destroy them? That could be something. But I suppose just the ideology of the clan probably needs to come back into things to just characterize them a little bit more before the fights happen. That's maybe what we've missed out on at the moment. Because even Tenma, who's introduced in this episode, is just sort of cruel villain who is powerful and is loyal to his father. That's the rather simple kind of approach they're taking with him. But like I said, I'm still eager to see like just how powerful what's his name, Amari is in action. And the final fight should be good. But they're my thoughts on this week's episode. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts are. But that has been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.